Hey, what's going on, champs? I'm Aaron Deliosa. Welcome to an Immigrant's Life podcast, my podcast about immigrants and immigration and everything in between. Thank you for listening and downloading the show, and thank you for supporting my dad.
It's great to have you back for another episode of An Immigrant's Life. As always, I appreciate your company and the time you spend with me. If you've missed any of the previous episodes, don't you worry. An Immigrant's Life is accessible wherever you get your podcast, including on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe and listen to some of our amazing stories of extraordinary individuals. And if you could leave a review and give it a 5-star rating, that would be greatly appreciated as well, as it helps us reach more listeners. And for those who want more An Immigrant's Life content, we have social media accounts where you can connect with me directly. My handle is @AnImmigrant'sLife. You can also send me an email at @AnImmigrant'sLife@yahoo.com. If you want to chat or if you want to come on the podcast, that's the best way to connect with me. All right, now on to the episode. I had a thoughtful conversation with this week's guest about the war in Ukraine, mastering a skill, and creating art. And I cannot wait for you to listen to this one. So let me get to the point. Without further ado, let's get into the show. Isa, dalawa, tatlo. Today's guest was a pharmacist turned painter. Her life's journey is intricate, just like a rusnik, but also like a chestnut. It is destined for prosperity and longevity. Everyone, please welcome Anya Keyes.
What an introduction. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
I'm glad that you appreciate it. It's my signature and it's my pride and glory.
You know, feeling welcomed is something that I think all immigrants are seeking. So you understand your kind. You get us.
We take care of our own, you know. I like when I introduce a guest and like you said, like they feel like, oh, he did that for me, not for anyone else.
Yeah, feel very special.
Thank you. Before we get into any nitty gritty, why don't you tell the Immigrant Nation where they can reach you or if you want to promote anything?
You can find me on Instagram. It's Anya Mirk, my handle, and I also have a website which is anyakeyes.com. I'm focusing on painting right now. And so if you could follow me and spread my artwork online, that would be probably the best way to support me. Because my primary goal is to show Ukrainians in the culture, promote Ukrainian immigrant culture specifically, and give Ukrainians a voice. And if I get more eyes on that, that makes me feel like the mission is accomplished, you know?
That's a beautiful goal that you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
I do have some Ukrainian friends. They love drinking.
Yes. Actually, my best friend in college was Filipina. Yeah. Also very fun. But definitely, when we hang out, it's mostly food. Yeah.
I was just gonna say we love our food.
In all honesty, this is why we bonded, I think.
Yeah, I always make a joke that I stay away from Filipinos or Filipinas because if you hang out with them, automatically just to say hi with them and make friends with them, you gain 15 pounds.
Yeah.
That's automatic, you know. You haven't even tasted our food.
It's worth it. Do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. Of course, I did some research on you. You're originally from Kyiv, Ukraine, but now you're painting your days away in Portland, Oregon. Why did you move to the U.S.?
Why or when?
Both.
Yes. Okay. Well, why? Ukraine was kind of poor country when I was growing up, and I also happened to be poor in a poor country. So, and also it was at a time, I think when I was 10, Ukraine became independent. So there's a lot of like social and political and economic changes that I probably sensed as something that's turbulent. And when I had an opportunity to come to the States, I decided, I'm just gonna take it and see
Hmm.
how it goes. And so when I was 16, I ended up in Connecticut in high school. And I did really well in high school, mostly because I already knew all of the information and all I was doing is just relearning it, but in English.
Hmm.
So I did super well and got into college, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to college.
Guess I'll go to college.
And then, I mean, like, not to say that I didn't work hard. I worked hard, but things just kept on kind of working out for me in a way that got my pharmacy degree and then got internship, and that translated into a job. And when I graduated at that time, there was a shortage of pharmacists. And so I got all these scholarships and basically a lot of incentives to keep on staying in the States. And also because of student loans, so there's a lot of incentive to like work and stay in Connecticut. But I did not like Connecticut, so I really wanted to move elsewhere. Um, I didn't know where to go, honestly, because I just kind of landed there and was just like so focused on learning and working that it was pretty hard to just throw it, a dart and go elsewhere because I had to transfer my license. It's very like lengthy and expensive process. It's like thousands of dollars and like half a year. Anyway, I met my husband traveling, future husband at that time, and he also wanted to move out of DC. And so we just went where the weed was. Colorado, baby. Colorado.
But wait, you said Connecticut. Why did you choose Connecticut? Is there like, do you have a family there?
I didn't choose, yeah, my father lived there for like 7 to 10 years
Mm.
when I arrived. So I arrived on like a family visa.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I lived with him for 2 years while I was attending high school, and then I went to college. Yeah.
Mm. When you were in Ukraine, you were living with mom?
Yeah, I was living with my mom, my half brother, and my stepdad. Yeah, so I
Mm.
just kind of peeled off from that family, hopped onto my dad's family for a second, and then just went on my crazy journey.
That's funny. You said pharmacy. Was there a reason why pharmacy? Were you pushed by someone to do it, or you always wanted to learn about pharmacy?
I mean, I feel like you're sensing a little bit about pharmacy in me. It was my dad. He definitely encouraged. I wanted to go to art school, but
Hmm.
I've only been in the country for 2 years, and I just feel like, the immigrant father mentality is that you really have to find a job that guarantees a career, pay, stability.
Mhm.
And so I don't think he was like willing to help me out with art school as much in terms of um, tuition, but he was definitely pushing me into engineering, which
Surprise.
is what he is. In retrospect, I probably would have been better at that, but I couldn't, I cannot do what my father does,
Why? Because that's what he's doing?
Yeah, my dad is an engineer,
Oh,
but
so
it's just a principle thing. I gotta be
rebellion.
rebellious. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to be. Anyway, so that's how I ended up in the pharmacy school, because when I found out that in 6 years I can get a doctorate, that just sounded so cool. I
Yeah.
can be a doctor in 6 years. Sign me up.
Well, can you not
Um,
be? You can be a doctor in like a shorter time, right? Like a medical doctor.
in the United States, I think it takes like over 10 years plus. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, I have a doctorate of pharmaceutical studies.
Mm-hmm.
That's my degree.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it didn't translate well. I like the school. I like the
Mm.
school a lot. I love learning, but the reality of working in the pharmacy is just very much different from how the school is. It's like stressful.
Yeah.
Uh,
Your mom, they're still in Kyiv?
No, so my mom actually lives with us now.
Hmm.
And so is my brother. My mom came here like 5 years ago,
Okay.
but my brother and his wife came last year when the war started.
Hmm.
So we're like a multi-generational household for sure. Um, it's crazy, and it's also like so much fun, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Just like I know it's not for everybody, but there's something cool. I mean, I haven't seen my brother since I was 16 and I'm like 38. It's been
Wow.
20 years. I mean, I've seen him, but we haven't,
Spend your time.
exactly, we haven't because he lived in Ukraine this entire time. And it's just,
Hmm.
I mean, it's just like incredible to just like randomly wake up and he's like in the kitchen. I don't know. Eh,
Yeah.
I feel so blessed. I like my little community. My family is definitely what I live for.
Yeah, I see that too. Like when we moved here in Canada, we live in this three-bedroom apartment, and we were like, what was it, 5, 6, 7, 8? We were 11 people.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, see, you say it, and I was like, "Whoa!" But I'm like, "Listen, it's only, it's only just a couple of people less than what we have. We have seven. Yeah.
yeah, we're like, so it was my mom and my dad, they have their own room, my brother and I, and then my sister shares with five aunties in
Wow.
one bedroom. But that only lasted for a year. But man, every time I think about that, like, props to my sister because she never complained.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, you guys gotta move on. I can't do this thing. But there was no
Yeah.
privacy.
Yeah. There's no privacy, but I do have a studio, so that's my saving grace for myself. Where this is it's all chaotic at home. And when I get to escape to my studio, it's just bliss, man, bliss.
Now
It's
you're
quiet.
saying
Yeah.
because there's chaos at home in the sense of like there's a lot of people.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
yeah.
appreciate more the bliss of the studio because of the chaos at home?
Oh yeah, the contrast is stark. I also
Mm.
have like two young kids. One's 2, one's 5.
Oh,
Yeah.
monkeys.
Oh, they're just all over and lots of energy and loud and I mean amazing and very tiring. So
Yeah.
I really love going to the studio then and kind of like that's my place to recharge and just be creative and create
Hmm.
something. Um, yeah, definitely balance for sure.
You love being a mom?
Do I like it?
Or do you love it?
Um, yes, I love it. I love being a mom. I I think I think it's very hard in a way that like because of my upbringing, right? It's like a Soviet Union. The culture was completely different. And so I don't have like a model of um what a healthier parenthood looks like in a way. And so uh I spent tremendous amount of time just thinking and researching and learning about how to raise children and form connections with them so they're
Hmm.
everlasting and how to be present for them, acknowledge their struggles, but also, not help them with everything. It's just such a balance.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think in a way it's been healing for me. It's intense. I think for all of you immigrant moms and dads listening out there, um, if you're trying to kind of bring up your children in a more modern way. I see you. You know, I
Hmm.
see you. It's work. Yeah.
It is challenging. Is there a Ukrainian value that you would like to preserve with your kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like a sense of family, and family being kind of like an organism in a way, that every little nodule kind of works together to support this functioning organism. Like, especially like in the family right now that we have so many people living together, it's like you can definitely tell that we all come together to help out somebody who is like going through a hard time, right? And I do think it's more of a Ukrainian thing. I think like in America, they would label it like somewhat codependent. But I think it works for us. And not like in the pathological way, right? I don't think there's like all that many negatives, knowing that you can basically rely on somebody to help you out. Like if you trust somebody, then what's the harm in that, you know?
Yeah, it's family. That's what you do for family.
Yeah, yeah.
If the person is doing drugs and you're, supporting the drugs in a positive or negative way, that is codependency. But if you're helping a person, like, I don't know, a person needs a job or a place to stay, you're helping that person. That's helping. That's what family is about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do
you still have family in Ukraine?
I have extended family, but nobody immediate. I have which is weird and kind of stressful in its own way. I have family in Belarus. So, and they're kind of siding with Russia.
Oh boy.
And so that is also very stressful because they're struggling, right? Financially, and we can't even help them out because of sanctions. Like, obviously sanctions are amazing because obviously this is a show that they're working, right? But also like on the personal level, it's pretty painful just seeing, family struggle and like not being able to help them out, and they virtually have no choice. That's where they live, and they basically cannot move, even though they don't agree with the war. They're just kind of stuck there. So,
yeah. Are you shocked how much most people quickly supported Ukraine and then also quickly abandoned it?
Oh my God, what a question. Yes, and yes. Oh, I mean, I'm shocked and still surprised at the amount of like a military support that Ukraine continues to receive. I mean, not like I don't understand why type of shocked, but also and mostly like, oh, I'm so glad that it's still ongoing thing. But from people forget there's still war in Ukraine. They're kind of moved on. It was nice to walk around my neighborhood in Portland and see Ukrainian flags everywhere, which in its own way was oddly made me feel like I belonged in the States more than I have ever felt. Like I felt more seen. I think there's this thing with like Slavic immigrants. They blend in so well with general population. I mean, yeah, like Slavic face, you can kind of figure out that somebody's from like the Eastern Bloc. But for the most part, like they're just like your basic white people, essentially.
Yeah.
But culturally, it's just a completely, separate game from like general American population, and like that cultural thing is not being seen or celebrated or acknowledged. I don't know. It feel kind of like my Ukrainian side always was kind of like invisible, but seeing the flags everywhere was just kind of like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better that people like just give me a nod to where I'm from, which actually kind of got me thinking about painting to kind of promote like Slavic immigrant culture. There's like, obviously Slavic imagery, but there's not much in a way that kind of combines like modern and ethnic imagery together, which is what a lot of like Slavic immigrants are, right? Like babushka in headscarves eating hamburgers. Like you don't see that. I don't paint that, but it's just kind of like,
It's cool.
yeah, it's kind of what when you can relate to both aspects of the image. I don't see a lot of that, and I think that'd be cool to see if I went places, and that's what I'm trying to achieve essentially. When it comes to how fast the interest waned, I am surprised and a little bit hurt, but also honestly, I think like this war, it was the biggest trauma of my life, and I had some like significant events in my life, like immigrating. Everyone who's ever done that, it's like not an easy matter. It's pretty significant, impactful period in one's life, right? But having a war in your home country is magnitudes more intense than that. I just, yeah. And sorry,
Okay.
I totally lost my train of thought because I got cycled on how intense that was. Yeah, but I think one way for me to move on was to not move on, but like function maybe even, was to try to think about it less and less and seek less information about it. And I feel like maybe a lot of people did the same, but to a greater extent. Yeah. A lot of times when I talk to my friends, American friends, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, pandemic was so hard. I'm like, yeah, it was hard. And then the war. And they're like, oh my God, Anya, the war. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, those people over there, my people, they're dying.
Yeah, the pandemic was not even as wild for me as the war was. And I'm a healthcare professional, so anyway.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. It's wow. It's just wow.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like you mentioned earlier that you try to less researching about what's happening in Ukraine or whatever else. Because I had a guest before. She's a Uyghur. She's a Uyghur, and you know what's happening with the Uyghur in China.
Yeah.
I asked her how do you function, And she said, sometimes I just try to block myself, not think about it. But it's hard to think about it because that's your people.
It is very hard. And I think also there's no break, right? In a way that Google picked up that this is triggering to me. Instagram, I'm Ukrainian. Everyone I follow is Ukrainian. And I think the hardest part was about the war is that on the New York Times, right? I could read an article and more or less it would be okay. There would be X number of people died in this particular attack. And then I go on Instagram and they're just the censored content where just completely details of how that went on. And that seeing that everywhere, I don't know. I don't even know how I dealt with that. But there's less of that now because people lose interest. And so that's in a way better for my own mental health. But yeah, the world is crazy.
It is crazy. And personally, obviously, I have no connection to Ukraine other than my friends, but I wasn't shocked when people moved on quickly. It's people,
Yeah.
Whatever is cool.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to latch on, Well, cool. That's what they're going to latch on. But people like you still have connection. It doesn't, like you say, it doesn't stop for you. It still continues.
Yeah. And like now I have, my brother and my sister-in-law living with me, and they're like Ukrainian.
Hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. We're hanging in there, I'd
Hmm.
say. Yeah, we're lucky we're here.
Hmm. Praise God.
Yeah. I hope it's over soon.
I hope so too. You mentioned babushkas, or I don't know if I pronounce it properly. I love your art about the babushkas.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, it reminded me of Joni Mitchell's paintings.
I love when people look at my art and it reminds them of art by other great artists. That's like nice. Um, yeah, so I'm from Kyiv, but my mom's side of the family are from this tiny village that's close to Kyiv, and they've been there for like 14 generations. Like,
14?
yeah, that's as far as my grandma remembers, and
Mm.
so I don't know if I need to do the 23andMe, but
You're probably like 100% Ukrainian.
I figured it out, I think I know. Um, and it was, in that village, it was basically like there's no running water or electricity. So, and everyone was like self-sufficient in terms of like farming. And because it was kind of remote, the culture didn't get to it yet, and they didn't get influenced by the Soviet rule all that much. They still spoke Ukrainian and still got to go to church and still wore like national costumes, and they had scarves. And so basically growing up, every woman I loved and respected wore a headscarf, and I think that kind of stuck. So now I try to dress almost every single one of my portrait ladies in a babushka scarf. Yeah.
I love it. I remember my mom's old house before they moved. There was I don't think they're Ukrainian. I think they're Yugoslav. I don't know, somewhere Slavic.
Yeah.
And there's a babushka, and she has the thing there on the head, and she walks every day. She walks every day, and we used to send my kids and my nephew to like. We have this Filipino. We put the hand of the old people on our forehead. It's called mano.
Yeah.
It's a show respect. And she never does it, but she'll say something in whatever she language, and every time we saw her, like, hey, that's babushka over there. I get so excited. That's why and she passed away a few years ago. Rest in peace. And that's why when I saw your art, I'm like, oh, that's babushka. I like it. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you so much.
I love it. I love your art, man.
Yeah, I'm still, working on exactly what I'm trying to say. I just started basically like 5 years ago because I was a pharmacist then, and finally paid off my student loans and closed that shop. And yeah. And then moved to Portland, and essentially, started painting. And it's cool to see the progress of how much I've grown in the 5 years. It's pretty amazing what you can achieve when you have an ability to be consistent with it, Like not every artist is lucky to have like enough studio time to see the progress. So I feel blessed. I'm still trying to working on having like a coherent collection for some reason. But honestly, I don't even know why the collection even would matter. I guess that's what everyone thinks I should do. But I mean, is selling your art in gallery, like, is this what success is? I don't know. I think I'm also in the process of redefining for myself, like, what does it really mean to be successful? Kind of reparenting myself that, a high-paying job and like management or leadership position is not the only thing that could be counted as a success.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Have you figured out what success is
I'm
for you?
working on it. I'm working on I think I'm pretty successful in figuring out what success is for me.
You're getting there, I can tell.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Definitely still in the works. I like the rate at which things are going. I do, like, luckily I don't need to like sell my art to keep on going. I think success for me would look, what success would be is when there's more of like either my imagery or imagery of other Slavic artists that are more like in the mainstream art, like they're more out in the galleries for people to see, or even better, like out in the public art, just so other Slavic immigrants, can feel more welcomed and included, like I did when I saw Ukrainian flags everywhere when the war started. I think that's like the end goal, essentially. It's all very self-serving for our Slavic community.
Well, it's your art.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah.
No one can tell you what to do. No one can tell you how to do an art. That's your art. It's your soul. It's a part of you. Every time you do a brush stroke or a line or a color, that's you. You're leaving a soul on the canvas. No one can tell you what's up.
I noticed that a lot of times I would like look at my paintings and they're kind of different in a way. Some are very colorful and some are pale. And I can definitely tell you just by looking what time of the season I painted that. Like what you're saying is just it rings so true that they look like my mental state looks like at the moment. And so I feel like my subconsciousness has a lot to say, and all I need to do is just get to the studio and like listen through my brush and see what the actual message is. Yeah.
Let the muses speak and do your thing.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that. I love that so much. You said your portraits represents your own struggle to fully embrace the joy of living in the U.S. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, like the war in Ukraine and stuff. Basically, it has to do with what you said, how the rest of the world essentially responded fast and moved on fast from the news that there's a war in Ukraine. And so I look around and people are prospering, they're moving on about their lives. They have their daily struggles, obviously, but it all looks on the surface as everything's all good and happy. I know there are a lot of like issues in the United States as well on their own, but on a day-to-day thing, it looks like people around me are able to tap into joy, right? And I feel maybe not as much anymore, but I think at the time when I wrote that was definitely ringing true, that I really felt struggle feeling the joy. I'm usually the type of person who can kind of sense the atmosphere and have it like affect me. Like if I'm in a happy place, I'm happy. If people are sad, I like feel their pain essentially. And I found like a disconnect where people were happy and I just could not tap into that wavelength with them. You can't. when there's war. At that time, I think my brother was still in Ukraine. I was worried about him so much. Um, and I think that also goes even before war, that there's some sort of like a generational, like epigenetic trauma that was passed on to me just from being Ukrainian, like the Ukrainian's been suppressed constantly.
Forever.
This is just a part of being a Ukrainian. You're born into stress, essentially. So, yeah. And so in my paintings, what does it look like? They're like colorful paintings and there are flowers everywhere. And the portrait's also colorful at times, but the facial expression is just so surly, right?
Yes.
I don't paint teeth, man. I don't paint teeth. Like nobody's smiling. And I think that's kind of like also shows just basically like displays what it's like. I guess I hope other Ukrainians can relate too, that this is just how it is. Things are all right around you, but you're still just kind of
They're very stoic.
Very stoic.
Yeah. You cannot show emotion, keep on going no matter what.
Yeah. I honestly and I don't think it's like you're trying not to show emotion. You're literally just
incapable?
Well, I mean, it's not like you can't show joy. It's just sometimes at the moments when things are hard, I don't know. I don't know.
Earlier you said that when you're painting, you can tell when you painted in the state of mental health you painted such a piece.
Yeah.
When are you most productive? Summer, fall? Is there a specific season that you're more productive than others?
I would say winter, oddly enough. Not only because it's cold and there are fewer distractions outside, but also I think everything is just so gloomy and moody. And it's just the feeling is just so overwhelming to just come and paint it all out. There's more of that emotion, that drive to just it accumulates more. It's more powerful to just go and let it all out, leave it on a canvas, and then come home to 7 people in your house, a cat and 2 dogs, and be all good.
That's funny. Do you think you paint better when you're sad, or do you paint better when you're happy?
I paint better when I'm sad. I'm prolific when I'm sad. Definitely.
You and me, homie.
Yeah.
I don't paint, but when I used to write, I prefer when I'm sad. That's when I create better art.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think that is?
I don't know, just a strong... I think sadness is more personal in a way than happiness, no?
Yeah.
It's just I think happiness, when... I feel like I'm happy when I'm seeing other people happy. And it doesn't matter what the source of joy is. If they're happy, that radiates onto me. And that's just personal, right? And I don't care. I don't care why they're happy. They're happy, and all that matters to me. But there are different sources of sadness, I feel. And when you're sad, it's it's hard for other people to understand exactly where it's from. And I think all we want to do when we're sad is for somebody to understand us, right? In a way. And because that's kind of hard to convey a lot of times through words, I think I just go and paint. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that. I was more prolific. When I used to write more, I was more prolific during winter. It's just the sadness. There is this, by the way, I'm going to say this, and I'm not a psychologist. I haven't read this thing. I heard it one time, and apparently this is science, okay? So don't
Full
shoot
disclosure.
me. Apparently, sadness is the strongest feeling. And every time you remember something that is joyful, let's say you remember, your dad bought you an ice cream one day and you were so happy. But let's say that day you were sad, you're feeling sad, that sadness will attach it to that memory. And every time you remember that memory, that will be a sad memory from then on.
Mm.
Again, I haven't read the book or the study, but it sounds good. It sounds like
I
sciencey.
I like that explanation. I think that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, sad paintings are the best paintings.
Hell yeah. Mona Lisa is one of the saddest painting and one of the most famous.
I have a couple of studio mates in my studio, and I ran into one of them in the hallway, and I said, "All right, well, it's time to go cry and paint, right?" And she just looked at me perplexed, and I was like, "Okay, bye." Just me then, I guess.
You scared them away. Stop being Slavic.
Just kidding.
By the way, you know what I love about your painting too is they look not finished, but they're actually finished. I love that. I love the blanks. It leaves to the imagination of the viewer.
Thank you. This is so funny. Hopefully my husband's not gonna listen to it, but this is what I do. Whenever I finish a painting, I show it to him, and the first thing he says, that becomes the title of the painting. So there's a lot of like, interesting, unsure about this, but the most common one, is this finished? So I'm definitely on, is this finished 23? This is what I'm painting right now.
I love it.
Thanks for appreciating that. People find it confusing, I think, but this
I
is
show
how I
it to
like
my
them
son.
too.
My youngest is he has the eyes for the arts, and he loved your art. I said, I like it, Dad. I said, yeah, I told you, I'm gonna buy some. Like, no, Dad, that's too expensive. He says. But he does love art. He said he wants to be a policeman and an artist.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, I heard there are pharmacists and artists out there, so everything is possible.
Yeah, I'm three of them. My favorites. I like all your art, but my favorites are the Mac.
Oh yeah,
and Kashta.
Kashtan, yeah.
And then the recent one, The Summer Is Here. I love that girl.
Oh yeah, she's my jam now.
Yeah, very she's beautiful.
Dreamy. Thank you. See how light and just like there's strawberries, like there's nothing. It's just mwah. I also like that one as well.
That girl from Kashtan, she looks like, that singer, what's her name? She does like, she smokes cigarettes. Lana
Del Rey?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
She reminds me of her face a little bit, Is there, who's this girl on your paintings? Is there a person?
I just take pictures of my friends and then I paint them. Sometimes I pull something from like the internet, but I don't really love doing that. I really hope that I think the next thing I want to focus more is just like moving away, painting beautiful young women and just painting women who are like in that in between age, not necessarily babushka, but not necessarily a 20-year-old. I don't know, maybe a good 40, 50-year-old middle-aged ones.
I like that.
I think, I also think there's like not much representation-wise. They're a little bit more like invisible, right?
And their faces will have more character because of the lines,
Yeah, just like a badass wrinkle motherfucker.
Yeah, like what do you call this thing here? The crow.
The something crow.
Crow's feet.
Crow's feet. Yeah.
Yeah, like that, or like this, or like I prefer that because it'll give you more character.
Yeah. Yeah, just more like maturity. They've seen things.
Yeah. What do you think about digital art? What's your opinion about it?
Um, I mean, I I do like it, not all of it. I think it's super convenient and cool.
Hmm.
Um, I don't I don't do it. I think I want to get into it, but I think I'm still kind of like focused on honing my oil painting skills.
Mhm.
I mean, it's fascinating and interesting. I do like the way, maybe I'm just like an old person now, the way the oil paint or any paint texture looks like
Hmm.
IRL.
Yeah.
But I think it's great and awesome, and a lot of kids are getting into it. I don't have like anything bad to say per se, um, and lots of good things. But I honestly also like AI generated art.
Hmm.
There's so much that really shook the art community
Yeah.
pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody, everybody got scared real quick. But I mean, I think it's like also interesting and fascinating. But I don't think AI gets sad. So
It's not there yet.
uh, yeah, I don't think it. I don't know. I I welcome all forms of art in a way. I
Hmm.
don't feel threatened by it or um, feel like any better or less for other forms floating around there. I'm just doing my thing, you know?
I love that. Yeah, that's a great thing. I had a friend that digital artist, and then when the AI art came out, he's like, "Man, all my hard work is gonna go to waste." I'm like, "No, dude, because AI would never have your soul,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and that's your key.
Yeah.
That's the thing that no one has. Even AI won't have that."
Yeah. Yeah. It, I don't want to say it's meaningless, but in a way, it is less meaningful than, like a big question when I paint. People are like, why did you paint that? And then that goes into a story.
Hmm.
Um, if you ask your digital artist friend, like, why did you paint that? He would have like solid reasons of why and why he made these color choices. Like, but when you ask AI, like, why'd you paint this? It's just like, because you told me so. But like, that's where it ends essentially. But the images are beautiful and fascinating and interesting. I love looking at them. They're
Yeah,
inspiring in their own way. Um,
I
but
agree. I'll never buy an AI art first of all. Like if I can do it myself, I'm not buying your art, Like your art. I could never ever make your art. It'll never happen, right? I'll buy that over like 10,000 AI, It doesn't I do appreciate it. It's art. I think it's art in a sense, but I feel like looking at like there's no soul in it.
yeah, yeah.
It was just like typed like I don't know, Anya's art in blue and green. You know,
Oh, I should try that and see what happens. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. But yeah, I think the reason why somebody does art is such a big piece of the painting's existence, and that's what's missing in AI art. You know, like I know you do art as well, and you have a reason behind why.
do I? No,
Um,
I do.
yeah, you do, you do.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like expression of your cultural background, of your roots, of who you are,
Mhm.
going back to like as far as you can possibly go where your culture has originated before any interruptions by other cultures, right? And so like
Mhm.
kind of similar to how Ukrainians are as well with the Soviet rule coming over and just making everybody speaking Russian and all. But
Mhm.
like I think you and I both like try to tap into how things were before others came over and preserve that.
I'm trying.
You got it,
Thank
you
you.
know?
Yeah.
And I this is the whole point. Um, this is the whole point of doing art. And this is the whole point of sitting down and working in and existing. And that's what AI is missing. So we're good.
The fear. Speaking of fear,
Yeah.
when I sit down and about to do my calligraphy, I
Uh-huh.
am scared.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to mess up, you know?
Yeah.
Do you feel the same before you paint?
I used to feel a lot like that. Uh, a lot less now. At first, absolutely. Um, my studio mate Rachel gifted me like this panel that she like primed herself with some rabbit glue. It's like seems like a crazy process or whatever. And she knew I would be scared to paint on it. So she did the same priming thing on like little sketch paper
Mm.
and gifted it to me for Christmas 2 years ago. It is still sitting there. I'm still scared to touch it. It is so real, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and I think in your case, if I were doing what you're doing, like which is making your own paper, I would be hella scared, to mess that up because like the labor, the value of that paper is just like so intense.
I'm not scared of that messing up in like paper because in my head I can remake it again.
What's the scary part?
When I make the line, I'm very I try to be a perfectionist, and when I make the line, I have this idea in my head. I want it to look like that when I put it on the paper. But the beauty of it is when I actually make the line and it doesn't come out like what I was thinking, and I end up actually liking the one I created.
Yeah.
I'm still in the process of like letting go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think me too. And actually, I it's kind of like a weird up and down where when I started painting, I wanted to make a line and like the brush was just like not going where I wanted to go. It was really frustrating, right? Like, and then with time, my brush control became a lot better. And so I was able to do like crisp lines and outlines and like
Mm.
all these things. And now I'm going back where I'm trying to do fewer of those because I feel like my paintings like look a little bit more like cartoonish like. So now I'm going back to trying to make lines more wiggly and stuff. So they look like so they look too perfect. It's just kind of like it's such a process, You're basically growing and learning forever. But fear is real. I think being scared to mess up and feeling like everything you're doing is crap at one point or another is essentially qualifications to being an artist. So
Yeah,
yeah.
like you said there that you're always not pleased with your work.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
still feel that way?
At times, not always, but um, I think because I change, like the seasons change so fast, right? I would like look back at my winter ones, be like, oh, that's too dark, man. The burgundy, like, what was I thinking? Um, yeah, and actually, I have a show right now that I am going to take down, and I'm excited to bring these paintings back because I can't wait to like keep on painting on them. I just
Uh,
wanna, I feel like I've gained the skill in 1 year when I painted them that I can improve them. So
mm.
yeah, growth is just always on a go. The more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah, 100%. Like with my, because as you mentioned, I'm making two arts that I'm trying to combine, like the art of recycling paper and the art of my calligraphy. It's called Baybayin.
Uh-huh.
And I just love that idea. And I just like learning. First, I'm learning how to make sure that the paper is smooth. And then when I start putting calligraphy on it, like how to, design the calligraphy pattern, it's endless and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I love that it's a puzzle in your head, and it's
Eh,
it's such an escape, right? Such escape from everything.
Yeah, I mean, like when you mentioned earlier that like, oh, are you scared like messing up on the paint on the paper because the process? Actually, not because I actually enjoy making the paper.
Uh,
So it's like giving me an excuse to make more paper.
yeah. So lean into your fear. Be fearless, man.
Yeah, thank you for that. Because like the other day, I was making a new batch, and my wife came downstairs and she's like, "You're making more paper? You have a lot of papers already." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm perfecting the thing." She's not an artist at all, by the way. She's very
Yeah.
practical, you know.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
sure your husband the same. It sounds like he's a
Oh,
practical man.
you cannot have two artists and have a functional family.
It's
That's
not gonna
just.
happen. So anyway, she's like, you have so much papers already. I was like, yeah, but I'm perfecting the thing, you know. I'm like, okay. Then she went upstairs, and that's
Yeah. Yeah. She's probably like, come out and play. You're like, sorry, gotta do this paper thing.
yeah. And
Gotta create.
sometimes I made a joke. What do you want me to do? You want me to do drugs? I don't do anything else.
Yeah, this is this is actually not a bad thing out of all the things that you could possibly
Exactly.
do.
You know. By the way, you don't have to answer this, but I'm gonna ask anyway. How do you price an art piece?
Yeah. Well, uh it's like interesting thing because I think I just kind of like at first put a price. I like painted the same similar sizes at first, and so I'd put a price on it. Um, and then if people buy it, then I would just keep like similar price essentially.
Mm.
Mm. But what had happened is that I my paintings were selling like pretty fast, and so I couldn't invite anybody to my studio because I had like empty walls, right? So I really like hiked up the prices on my art,
Mm.
and they haven't been selling now, which is like nice in a way. But I think I'm ready to sell again, and there's like some pieces that I'm ready to let go of.
Mhm.
So I know it's like frowned upon, and there's like this notion in the art world that like be very careful how you price your art because once you go high, you just can't go down. I'm like, seriously, do you understand how busy every single individual is? Who the hell is gonna remember how much I priced something last time? Like, I am like not that vital in people's lives. I can do whatever the hell I want with my prices. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I think when I get this collection back from the show, the next time I put it up, I'll just have lower prices and see what it goes, like, see what
Mhm.
happens. Um, yeah, pricing is kind of like science and art together. There's like all these ways that you can like calculate a worth of your art per
Mhm.
se, like square per inch or dollar per square inch. There's all these like formulas.
Mhm.
I have researched it, not gonna lie.
Same here.
And yeah, yeah, exactly. You would like find an artist who is like similar to it in a scale, and advanced in career that you are, and then see what they're pricing at, figure out
Mm.
their square, like dollar per square of artwork, and
Mhm.
then just put it on your paintings. But yeah, um,
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not really like selling my art yet. Um, or like I don't feel the drive to sell it yet. I think it's just so personal, you know.
Yeah. Who was that? I think it was Matisse. Who did the water lilies? Matisse or Monet?
Monet, Monet.
Monet, when he printed the big thing, like it
Yeah.
took like years before the guy that asked him to paint it to let go of it. And Monet keep on saying, no, it's not finished, it's not finished. And he keep on painting and repainting because he can't let go of his art. Because those are
Yeah,
his babies, you know?
yeah. I mean, like, it's phenomenal. I don't blame him. Yeah, I'm just like him. I'm
Mhm.
just like Monet.
As prolific as good.
Yeah.
I
Um,
love that.
I think this kind of all ties back into like what success is in my eyes. And I don't think like that necessarily selling as much of my artwork and painting with the goal of selling is not what definition of success is for me, for example. So
Definitely.
uh, yeah.
Do you regret not starting to take painting seriously earlier?
Um, sometimes, but also not maybe. I don't know. Like I feel like if I did, that would be like in college, right? I mean, and so if I went to an art school, then my life would have been completely different from my 20s. And then that's just kind of like such a cascade effect where I wouldn't have the life that I have right now, which I feel like I'm blessed that I have it. I have just like amazing family. And I don't know if that would happen if I wasn't at that beach when I met my husband. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why I tied the art so much, but it's like, it would have been a job. It would have been profession. I would have to like paint on somebody's demand in order to make money, essentially. And I don't know if that would translate into like happiness
Yeah.
or be like unregretful. I know. I mean, I think what I wish right now is that I had a skill at this moment as if I started 16 years before. This is the only thing I wish, but I don't think I would have changed much. Even the pharmacy experience, it was really like humbling and eye-opening and just different in its own way.
100%. Has your life been different since you decided to go back to creating art?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like more peaceful. I feel like more open. I also feel like in a way like very confident. Like it was extremely hard to step away from pharmacy. I mean, I was like a clinical pharmacy in the emergency department, which is like a pretty uh pretty intense and also like highly skilled position in a way. And I was like a pharmacy manager at some point as well. And I've been doing it. I like to think that I was very good at it, and I've been doing it for like 10, 11 years, and then basically not doing that at all and learning how to paint. It's just kind of like, oh my gosh, I suck at like there's not one thing in my life I'm doing that I feel like I'm exceptional at. And it was such a void until it filled in with like parenthood and, got better at art and then eventually art too. But it was scary. Yeah, it was a scary jump.
Yeah. What do you think? Are you better a pharmacist, a mom, or an artist?
Oh, I think I am, wow, oof, better. Wow. It's just like it's hard to compare because you couldn't have picked the three more different from each other things, I think. Um, I put the most time into parenting right now. And both like into active parenting and learning about parenting. And most of my thinking process, whenever I think about something, is about the children. They're very small, and I wanna get it right from the beginning. I mean, pharmacy was just like an autopilot. I was I mean, like, yeah, I made fewer mistakes being a pharmacist, so I guess it was better in that way. And art, gosh, I am good, but there's still room for improvement. So I guess, like, I don't know if I really have to answer, I guess parenting, pharmacist, artist, I don't know, but I don't know if that's really true. Yeah, you're breaking my arm here.
I just asked a question. You don't have to answer if you don't want.
I know, but these are such good, interesting questions.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, they really get me thinking. I really love them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But no, like, pharmacy was science. You follow this step, pretty much you get the same result.
Yeah.
Parenthood is extremely difficult. You really have to put in work.
Yeah.
especially like you said that you didn't really have a example of like how to be parenting this half Ukrainian, half American kids. You know, art is
Yeah.
art is always gonna be hard. It's the most. It's like going harking back to the AI. Like the reason why AI is not really as significant as the real art or physical art is you don't really work hard. You just type words.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying?
I mean, in a way, AI art is a collaboration anyway, right? Like it's not just like sitting there and like spitting out artwork. It needs somebody to throw an idea.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I have a friend
Mm.
that is into AI art right now. This
Yeah,
guy
yeah, yeah.
has never ever draw anything, even a stick
Yeah.
figure, and now he's creating like AI art. Like it's nice, but I like Anya's art better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like personal preference. But honestly, like if that's his creative outlet, then that's fucking fantastic.
Yes, 100%.
Right? If like drawing is not his jam, digital art not his jam, but he still wants to like get his like ideas out in the world and AI is helping him to do that. Awesome.
Agree.
I'm excited to see them.
Yeah, I do too. I of course I support him, but my point was is like, like you put in work when you think of a babushka,
Yeah.
the color, the lines, like the way she I don't know, like shows her emotion or lack of even, it takes time. It's like if you're in AI, I don't think you have a fear. You're typing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
it's it's different. It's very different. It's different processes for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, listen, I think we're there. But before we close out, one more question.
Okay.
What are the most important lessons you've learned in life through creating art?
For myself, I think the most important lesson is that very basic, honestly, time and practice, whichever, when you put those together, you will improve. Time, practice, patience equals improvement. And that I just apply to everything now. Even to parenthood, whenever my kids are just frustrated with something, this is the formula I give them. Like, well, this is how improvement works. When my family members come to the States, they hope to pick up their careers where they left in Ukraine. I'm like, sorry, time, patience, and practice. It's just that's that's just like immigrant's life right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like not only in art. That's basically it applies to every avenue. When there is a change and something is new, you don't suck at it forever. You stick it out and it works out. That's what I learned. The end.
I love it. Again, Anya, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for giving me a voice. It was so nice talking to you and meeting you.
Oh, for sure. Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Again, thank you, Anya, for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, listeners, for listening. This is Aaron Deliosa for An Immigrant's Life. I'll see you guys later.